Ah, we meet again. It's fortuitous you've happened upon me, actually. I've been reading a collection of long-lost sacred texts from the great bodhisattva Rumiko Takahashi, an ancient and wise being, as I'm told, more powerful than anyone I've ever known, and yet Lady Kagome tells me she is from the modern era. A strange occurrence. I've even found information on myself and my companions in these scrolls. Shall I read some to you? Very well, if you insist. Let us speak on Sango and myself, and perhaps Shippo. Inuyasha and Kagome are true friends, but they seem to be more spoken of in these volumes. Let us speak on the more humble members of our group. As I read these, some of the words will be arcane to our ears, but it is important to read the texts as exactly as possible, as is the manner of what is taught in the temples. And of course, we shall start with myself. In the scroll it says, "The monk I wanted to create. Miroku exists because I thought Inuyasha needed a male comrade. I made a Buddhist monk because I liked their clothes and wanted to draw them." Well, it is form-fitting. I don't think monks of the era actually dressed like him, though. I liked the grown-like attire of the Soto school of Zen Buddhist monks, but when it came time to put pen to paper, I couldn't remember exactly what they looked like, resulting in Miroku's outfit turning into something far different than what the monks actually wear. She's actually right, my robes are a bit more, ostentatious than others. I always referred to Miroku as a Hoshi rather than an Obosan, the more common word for Buddhist monk, simply because the word Obosan has the image of a bald man strongly attached to it, and that wasn't the image I was going for. Miroku's look comes from the hairstyles and piercings of celebrities I saw on TV around the time I was working on him. Fashion has changed since then, but I think younger people today can still appreciate his look. Many do appreciate my look. It's interesting because Hoshi is a relatively common term for Buddhist monk, at least in my era. Perhaps Obosan is more common in the modern era. The next section says, the character-defining wind tunnel. When you think of Miroku, you undoubtedly think of his wind tunnel. The idea for that was simply that there are lots of characters out there who can shoot things out of their hands, but why none that suck things into them? I thought I'd try the idea out. Miroku has his Buddhist powers, of course, but they aren't nearly as strong as the wind tunnel. It's what makes Miroku Miroku. It defines him and is the basis of his entire character. He watched his father die because of the ability, and it's his link to Naraku as well. Everything goes back to the wind tunnel. It made Miroku's creation a breeze. And the next is called the character who can do anything. Miroku fills the role of teacher, always able to provide explanations when I need him to. Well, that is what I'm here for. He can do comedy as well, and he's also good in serious moments. He can do anything. Inuyasha is surprisingly earnest, so Miroku had to be a bit of a delinquent, a little crafty to make up for what Inuyasha lacked. Miroku is also a show-off who doesn't like his weaknesses exposed. That said, when we first meet him, he appears to have given up on life, but after meeting Sango, Inuyasha, and the others, he finds meaning in his life. He changes. He finds a way to live with the wind tunnel and never wavers from the path. She is correct. And speaking of my new meaning of life, let us talk of Lady Sango. Here the bodhisattva Rumiko Takahashi says, "A girl's tragedy showcasing Naraku's cruelty." Sango came about because, by around volume 9 or 10 of the manga, I was looking to finalize the members of Inuyasha's group. Kagome was still the only girl, so I wanted to give her a female companion to travel with when the group went into action. When Sango first made her appearance, we already were familiar with Naraku, and we'd already seen his human form. I created her entire situation with the Demon Slayer village and her brother being controlled to show just how cruel Naraku was. That story and the way it progressed was unlike anything I'd ever done up to that point. I felt bad for her, but I needed Sango to have these terrible things happen to her to make it clear how evil a foe Naraku was. Sango is the most easily fooled, or maybe the most easily defeated. She has an uncertain heart, after all. Out of everyone in the party, she is the weakest emotionally. She's the most skilled demon slayer in her village, so naturally, she is physically very strong, but mentally, she's probably more sensitive than even Kagome. It is true. My love has a difficult past and a tender heart. Practical battle armor. When designing Sango's battle armor, I thought about what was important to protect. Places like her neck and of course her vital spots. Her usual kimono would be difficult to fight demons in, so she has to change before battle. The design for her armor came from practicality, and it provided an enjoyable contrast to her everyday look, and finding happiness in the end. I had a lot of fun with Sango. I make a point of never having characters in my manga talk about their own death, but I thought it was something Sango actually might do. Like that time Miroku was poisoned and demons were closing in on them. He told her to leave him and escape, but instead she refused, saying she'd rather die with him than leave him behind. This is something you absolutely cannot say in a shonen comic, but it is absolutely something she would say. Sango is the brooding type, but of course, considering what happened to her, it would be ridiculous if she wasn't. I paired her and Miroku together because they had a lot of chemistry when I had them work together, and their banter was always amusing. It seemed the natural thing to do. At the very least, I thought she deserved some happiness in the end. It does my heart well to hear that, with me, she is truly happy. Now let us talk about Shippo, of course. Shippo's kind position. Shippo is the little kid character that every story needs. When considering what kind of motif to give him, I thought something fox-like would be nice. Demons and foxes pair well together, so a fox demon he became. We feel sorry for Shippo when we first meet him, but that's just the way things are in Inuyasha. First, I had to establish his personal reason for wanting the Shikon Jewel, and it had to be something as extreme as his father being killed for it to work. You feel bad for him, but that kind of urgency was absolutely necessary. I had to show why he would go so far as to try to steal the jewel. But after that, he maintains a more peaceful position in the party. What I realized about him while working on the series is that you often find him with the weakest character. In the midst of a confrontation, he's always at the side of the injured. It's as though he does this intentionally, trying to comfort them. It's probably instinctual to him. And now on Shippo's role. As kids do, he tends to tell how it is, and because of that everyone takes what he says as true. He isn't reserved in sharing his opinions. Take for example the time when, to save Kohaku, Sango steals Tessaiga from Inuyasha and tries to deliver it to Naraku, but fails. Doing so, she loses her place as part of the group, but then Shippo asks something like, "Do you hate us?" It's the kind of thing that would be hard to say if it weren't a kid. What it means is that, though she betrayed the group, they don't think of her as an enemy. If anything, they forgive her. It's the role of a child to say this. There are a lot of important things that Shippo can only say because of who he is. And this is very true. This is one reason why Shippo is a very vital part of the group. The Shippo-centered stories were lifesavers for me, like the story about the Fox Demon Arts exam. And later in the series, I felt like if we didn't have stories like that once in a while, I wouldn't have been able to go on. I'm sure tense situation after tense situation would have been hard for readers as well. Looking at the bigger picture, I guess you could say Shippo's true role was to be a bit of peace and respite. Now, I think that's enough reading of the Sacred Scrolls today. I hear if you read too much and too often, you could go blind. Many monks have discovered this the hard way. But for now, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for stopping by to listen, and I will see you next time.